Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're doing well. I wanted to do a little kind of freestyle here. I've been thinking about it for a while, but looking at my collection and the knives that I primarily carry on a day-to-day basis, laid out there's no like losers in the group certainly, but it kind of got me thinking, how do you as a consumer or a knife buyer kind of narrow it down to that one knife? And that was always kind of the premise or the goal of doing this YouTube channel, was to figure out kind of like what was the one knife to rule them all. And unfortunately, I certainly don't have an answer for you, but I can definitely narrow things down based on my experiences. And I think, I've owned such a vast array of knives over the last year or so. I mean, I've always been really into knives my entire life, really, but, kind of really doubling down and, trying to experience the higher end knives that are out there and compare them critically to everything else. And I didn't get out all of my when making this video or anything, but I just kind of I brought out the ones that kind of like really stuck out to me, and then I narrowed it down to kind of my top three. Like, if I had to sell everything, like, what are the three knives that I would hold on to? And it was kind of tough. Like, I kind of like laid all these out on the table, and I was like, all right, pick three, let's go. And before I kind of talk about the three that I chose, it should be noted that I think, I mean, any knife today that you find, I mean, certainly that I've seen, like, higher end knives, like anything over that $250 mark, it's going to be a winner. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine at what will kind of like fit your need. But something, for instance, like this Spyderco Spydie Chef, which I love this knife. I think it's great. I don't know. I haven't been carrying it at all. And I was like, why is that? And the reason is that I just have so many other knives that kind of, that I would rather carry or are more enjoyable to carry. But it's definitely an intrinsic thing. Like, there's nothing that this Spydie Chef couldn't handle that I'm like, oh man, like I wish I was carrying blah blah blah. Like, that's not the issue at all. There really is not an issue at all. Like, if this Spydie Chef is kind of your one and only knife, then good on you. You've kind of reached enlightenment, and we all have something to learn from you. The other knife too that kind of comes to mind is this Chavez Scapegoat. And again, this is my third try at a Chavez. I really do like the G10 version of this knife. It doesn't have the jimping on it. It has a really nice choil. I'm gonna be honest with you though, like, this is kind of the last knife that I bought that I was like, oh, I don't know if I should, but I was like, it was a weekend. I had a couple drinks. I was like, let's go. We'll try it out one more time. So with that, I mean, like, these are kind of the knives that are on the fringe of my collection, certainly. I also am kind of ashamed to admit that, aside from these knives, like, I have a gun safe with many more knives, like certainly my Lone Wolf collection. I have a bunch of old trench knives from the First and Second World War. And just random knives that I've picked up, like fixed blades, etc. Really nice blades too, and any one of those in and of themselves would totally meet the mail. I have no reason, it's not lost on me that I need all these other knives, but I don't know, there's something else going on here. And first I just wanted to go over the ones that did not make the cut, and then we'll kind of get to the three that, if I had to get rid of all of my knives, and I think I have a pretty good idea of what I have at this point. There's no hidden gems in my gun safe or anything like that. Like, you're looking at my top tier, kind of my starting lineup, the Saturday night at the strip club, as far as my knives go. So we're gonna get into it a little bit, and we'll see where it goes. All right, so I'm going to go through this section kind of quickly, but the knives that didn't make my top three but certainly are worth mentioning. So the first one's going to be this Curtis F3 in MagnaCut, which I really do. I like this knife, but I don't carry it, and I don't know why. And that's one of the most frustrating things. Like, I don't know. I'm like one day away from selling this thing. It doesn't really like do much for me, but I know that it is way more of a knife. It's a better knife than anything I could ever need. I hold on to this one, but it definitely didn't make the cut. I mean, certainly, like I keep it in my house. It's ready to go if I ever wanna carry it. It's right there for me. But I don't pick it up that often, and I don't really know why. It might be the jimping. Again, the jimping on this is like really intense sawtooth. It's definitely on the smaller end, but by all accounts, like this should be a really great knife to carry. I'm also not crazy about the pocket clip design or anything, but I don't know. I can't explain it. The next one, the Koenig Arius, and I got this on a trade, and I'm really impressed with it, but more shockingly, I'm surprised at how little I carry this knife. Like I kind of thought that I would get this thing, and based on what people were saying about it, etc., I thought that this would be in my pocket daily, and I've carried it. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I've carried it. So this one didn't really make the mix, but again, I certainly keep it in my pouches for, you know, knives that that are out there that I want to carry. It definitely doesn't get lost in my gun safe or anything, but this one does not see much pocket time, and I can't really explain why. I don't know. The next one is going to be this Chris Reeve Inkosi, which I really do like this. So it's a Knife Art exclusive, so carbon fiber show side, titanium clip side. I do like the Insingo design, but again, as I said in my last video, kind of any time that I'm carrying this is taking away from another knife, which you'll see much later in this video. But I really do like the Inkosi design. I like how it has an upgraded pivot. The dual thumb studs I could do without, honestly. Like, I mean, I think if you have like a well broken in Chris Reeve, you don't really need that. But this is another one that like I could definitely do without. Like, I like the style, but I'm more of a Spenza 31 guy. So that's the next one. The next one, this one kind of hurts. Strider SNG. So this is, well, except for the Strider PT, which actually didn't even make this video. You know, this was one of my newer acquisitions. Like, I've always had an SMF, which again you'll see a little bit later. But the SNG, like, I really do like it, and I think I could carry this thing more. I don't. I think as far as Striders go, I prefer the size of the SMF, and that's just the one that I find in my pocket. But nothing against the SNG. Like, it's certainly a great blade. I think if you can get your hands on one, it is money well spent. And you know, over the the knives that I just covered, the Curtis, the Koenig, the Inkosi, I would take this one over that, but it didn't make my top three for sure. The next one is going to be the Chris Reeve Zahn, and I just recently did an overview of this one. I wouldn't say it's due to lack of stick time with this thing. It just, like, I don't know. I haven't developed a relationship with this knife yet. And, you know, this, as I've said also, you know, this is my second Zahn that I've owned. I think that it's a really valuable part in anyone's collection, especially if you like CRKs. It just didn't make my top three, and it probably should. Like, that's one thing. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I mean, the Koenig, the Curtis, whatever, I mean, that's all forgivable, but a Zahn did not make my top three. The next one that I wanted to cover is actually this Arcona, which this Ivan B designed. I just reviewed this one, and I mean, although I don't think that it's like puppy love with this thing. I mean, it's really very phenomenal. I mean, it stacks up with any of these other knives that I just mentioned, which for all accounts are really heavy hitters, kind of the heavyweights of the folder world. I kind of need to like keep this one in the mix, and it's certainly going to be a part of my rotation. My plan though is to send this to Devin, and I kind of told him, like, I prefaced it with like, dude, find something wrong with this knife, because I'm struggling to find something wrong with it, and it was one of those purchases that I was like, yeah, whatever, like, I'm sure it's great, whatever, but this thing is absolutely, it's phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Again, hopefully he'll, do me a solid, review this thing, kind of try to tear it apart, because I sat here for a while, like, and I feel like at this point I've seen it all for the most part. Yeah, this one's kind of tough to beat, and kind of along those same lines. I mean, I know that there's a lot of other knives out there. Like, certainly, I mean, I still have my Microtex as well, so that SOCOM Delta, as well as the Anox, or whatever you want to call it. Those didn't even make my carry pouches. They're great knives, like, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I really haven't like connected with them yet, and I'm not sure if I will, but these are the ones that are on the table, is kind of what I'm saying. And I've tried Microtex. The one kind of, not really like regret, I will say, but I've not experienced the Les George yet, and I know that's another like real high-end knife that I probably do need to check out. I will say though, I'm not super stoked about the designs that I've seen. I also really want to get my hands on like a Dervish, but those are going to be kind of leaps of faith where, these knives in general, you either know what you're getting into, or you can, fake it till you make it with $500. But when you get into some of those other models, like you're still on the farm to get them, and it's a huge, not risk, like that's overly dramatic, but you're definitely, you're putting a lot out there in order to make it happen. So who knows? Again, like, another shameless plug, if anyone has any knife that you haven't seen me review that I should check out, I'm all ears. Would be happy to pay for shipping both ways, etc. I promise I will take care of whatever knife is sent to me, but I don't know, that's just kind of where I'm at. So now that I've gone through kind of the duds, not that any of these are duds, they're all phenomenal knives, I kind of wanted to go over the top 3 knives. Like, looking at my collection, knowing what I have, what are the 3 knives that I would keep above everything else? And realizing, I don't know, it could happen where I'm like, oh man, I need to sell all my knives. Like, if I could get it down to 3 folders, these are the ones that I would choose. And the first one's going to be a Strider SMF, and this one's in S30V. This is like my high-end knife that I've had the longest. I love it, love the size, know everything about this knife. It has served me well. I mean, you can see the blade's pretty like beat up, but after you get that first scratch out of the way, it's definitely a user. But this is one of those knives that I think this would be like the last knife that I would ever get rid of. It's been with me the longest, and I just have, I don't know, like it's well broken in. I'm the one that broke it in. Like, I think that it's really cool, and this is one of my top 3. Like, this would be one of the 3 last knives that I ever got rid of. The next one, kind of a newer one, so a Shirogorov F3 NS, which this is in carbon fiber. This one's tough. Like, I wouldn't really call it like a hard use knife in a way. Like, I don't have all the confidence in the world of like a Zahn or something like that using this knife, but it feels so good in your hand, and you can just like, you can really tell the manufacturing and the thought that went into this knife. The action is absolutely crazy. The multi-row bearing system, which are caged bearings, it's a joy to take apart. It's a joy to clean. It's a joy to, fidget with. I mean, this thing is just stupid. So this one definitely made the list too. Like, it's by far my favorite flipper, and it made my top 3. I think a lot of times, at least when I was just getting into the knife world, you see Shirogorovs and you're like, oh, it's probably just, it's all hype, it's not real, but this thing backs it up. And I wouldn't argue with you about like the quantums or anything like that. Like, I definitely had a problem with the the frame lock on it, them being a liner lock actually, but this one, I mean, it's one of my favorites. Like the look, feel, like if you had one knife, this could definitely be it. The last knife, which I'm sure you all saw this coming, but it's going to be my Sebenza 31. So this is the Damascus and Knife Art exclusive carbon fiber kind of Frankenstein that I made. And even today, like, I mean, just sitting there working this action, like, it is just, it's breaking in amazingly. I love the balance. I love what this knife looks like. Sharp as hell. Love the lubricity of the Damascus. I would love to get my hands on more Damascus knives, but as I said in that last Making Amends, like, there really is something kind of intrinsically rewarding about breaking in Chris Reeve knives. Like, they continue to reward you, and I think, like, if I had to get rid of everything, and it's where I'm at right now, this would actually be the last knife that I would ever get rid of. So if I got to sell the farm, all these are going away. This will be the last one that I keep. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to narrow it down to 3, but yeah, it just kind of, it was, I wouldn't say it was like a game that I played, but I certainly like to do critical thinking about things. And, you know, you look at my knife collection or the folders that I've acquired, and it's like, why the hell do you need so many? And I certainly don't, and any of the knives that I just described would certainly foot the bill, like, with anything. Like, anybody would be proud to own one of these knives in and of themselves, but, you know, I'm lucky to be able to try out different ones. But at the end of the day, those are my top 3. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be dark for a little bit, but you know, hopefully I have some new knife reviews coming down the pipe. But we will see you next time.